It's the Andy and Dave Daily. We are here on the Muskegon Channel. I'm Andy O'Reilly. Dave Cackley is still trying to work off his phone bill that I've been paying for the last, what?
I pay for it.
Oh,
Stop lying to people. I give you, what, like a chunk of cash every 5 months or so. That cuts down on your bill, too. It's a win-win all the way around.
Once a year, I send Andy a check made out to cash for $50, and that's how I pay for my phone.
And that's your problem, too. It's the fact that I make it out to cash. What's the big deal? I don't know how you say if you use your radio name, if you use your real name, which I guess your radio name is now your real name because you did the official name change.
Man. Yep.
How did your mom feel or your dad feel about you changing your name?
I didn't change it. I just added O'Reilly into the full legal name.
Okay.
So
but is it
like
on the end?
Yeah. It's like a middle. It's like a legal middle name now.
But it's basically changing the name you were given at birth by your loving parents.
You know what? When I picked O'Reilly, big deal, right? I lived at home. And the parents, they wanted a little bit of privacy when I lived at home.
Okay.
I moved out at 26, which is a little late.
Yeah.
I'm not pointing fingers at anybody else or anything.
Hey,
but
I moved out at 18.
Yeah, you did.
Okay. I did.
Yeah, well, yeah. Look who's back.
Well.
Anyway, as time went on and it got more and more that I was known by that, I finally went to them one day and I asked their permission if I could amend that. And they were both cool with it. So
they were cool. See, I would not be cool.
No?
If Max wanted to change his name to anything, I'd be like, no. In fact, you're taking my first name now, too.
Max may have to change his name.
What?
Well, think about the credit market. How are you going to get a name?
How
are you going to get a car loan with a name like Cackley?
Hey, now, don't disparage that name. I've got good credit, dude.
Excuse me, sir. Are you related to Dave Cackley? No loan.
What? Seriously, aside from an outstanding student loan, I'm in good shape. I have good credit.
Well, good for you. I don't.
You know what? I found that out when I financed a $1,500 car.
Nice.
You're going to pay cash for this? No, I'll finance.
My credit sucks, but I still pay for your phone. Okay.
Oh, stop with that.
What are we doing here? Are we doing some kind of news thing or just going to pick on you all day or what?
A lot of stuff going on. Of course, the senators all meeting at the White House later today. We'll find out about that. President Trump, by the way, has edged away from demanding that funding for his promised wall on the Mexican border be included in a must-pass spending bill, reducing the chances of a government shutdown. Trump says he would be willing to return to the wall funding in September. His earlier demand that it be included was an impasse on budget talks. His latest comments could conceivably pave the way for a bipartisan deal just days ahead of the deadline.
I have got the deal breaker on the Mexican wall.
Which is?
Are you ready for this?
Can't wait.
Oreos are now made in Mexico. You want to put a wall up in the middle of that?
If you told me Chips Ahoy, yeah. I'm more of a Chips Ahoy guy than an Oreo. If I never had another Oreo again,
really?
I'd be fine with it. I don't hate Oreos. I don't know that it's possible to hate Oreos. But they're okay. They're okay cookie.
There's a lot of people that are pissed off that Oreos are made out of the country now.
I don't know why. I'm not pissed that anything is made anywhere.
No?
I'm glad that stuff is being made and I can enjoy it. Whether it's made in the United States, I prefer to buy American. But if something nice is made in Japan, something nice is made in Canada, Dubai, I don't care.
Did you hear about the Canadian lumber deal?
No, I did not.
Putting a huge tariff on lumber coming down from Canada.
No, I did.
Oof.
I did hear about that. I'm sorry.
Making friends and influencing people. Welcome to the Trump administration. What's next?
Oh, what else is going on? The Wisconsin fugitive Joseph Jakubowski was arraigned in federal court on Tuesday. He pleaded not guilty to federal charges alleging he stole 18 firearms and 2 silencers from a Janesville gun store in April, and for being a felon in possession of firearms. Jakubowski stands accused of robbing a gun store, torching his own vehicle, and mailing a 100-plus page manifesto to President Trump threatening public officials, schools, and churches. What's that?
Yeah, we talked about manifestos.
Yeah.
If you put out a manifesto, you're probably going to get locked up.
Yeah, you're going to get locked up, and you're serious.
Yes.
People put out manifestos. If you're writing like hundreds of pages on something, you're probably going to do at least some of the things within the manifesto. Otherwise, it was just a waste of your time.
Right.
So not that I'm saying he should. I'm just saying he probably would have.
I tried to stick to 3 or 4 paragraphs.
Yeah.
People seem to gravitate to things they can read on the can.
Yeah, exactly. When I write a manifesto, it's usually like Twitter, 140 characters or less.
That's as far as you go.
That's the Dava-festo.
No, well, there you the Dava-festo.
That's how I roll. All right, an aggressive initiative to combat alleged racial bias in the Grand Rapids Police Department didn't find the full support of the City Commission on Tuesday. The meeting was the first since the results of a traffic stop study that showed black drivers were twice as likely to be stopped as non-black. City Manager Greg Sundstrom wanted to extend the contract of Lamberth Consulting, which outlined the study at a cost of $229,000. Recommendations also included hiring experts to overhaul police training, to remove bias, and hiring a community policing expert. The City Commission wants more discussion as well as more community input, and that makes sense. You want to get the feelings of everybody involved, and they evidently, I heard they'd already had some type of like outside thing to deal with potential bias, and I really don't know how you combat that sort of thing, because I mean the problem with like stories like this that shows bias, but it's all people always say, well, 99% of police are biased. 99%, but we're looking for that 1%. We never seem to find the alleged racist, but then it becomes like a blanket Grand Rapids police are racist narrative. Whether that's the intention or not, the narrative becomes Grand Rapids police equals racist, which I don't think is fair.
I think that our society as a whole sucks when it comes to race relations. And I think it goes both ways. I think everybody ought to just calm down for a little while. Everybody ought to, and I'm not saying that there's not disparities on both sides of the argument, because there clearly are, but it's 2017. We should know how to get along better. We should be more accepting. We should, look at other people's neighbors as opposed to those people across the street. It's just it's one of the things that bums me out the most is how we get along as a nation racially. I hate it.
See, I think the narrative is that we don't get along. I think the reality is that person to person, individually, we do get along pretty well.
But here's the thing. I think the message that I hear and over and over and over again is how bad we don't get along. And it comes down to the fact that there are people out there that profit a great deal off both sides of the race fight. And the biggest mouths on either side all make a lot of money, and they are not going to give it a break until they can't make any more money at it. And it really sucks. It really does. It's just one of those things where some people have figured out how to make the attack on issues like race and communities and things like that, and they profit off it. And I hate it. I just hate it.
One of my big problems, and once again, this is two white guys talking about the racial issue, and there are people who will say, "Hey, how can you talk about racial issues? You're a white guy."
Right.
And I think everybody needs to. Everybody has something to say: white, black, Hispanic, Asian, whatever. And we all have different experiences. We all have different perspectives. But this is what when I think about the idea of like bias in a police department, or pulling over twice as many blacks being pulled over as non-blacks. What is the incentive for a cop to pull somebody over because they're black?
I don't know.
What's the incentive?
I don't know.
I mean, you can get pulled over for any reason. I've always been nervous when a cop was behind me.
Oh.
Every single time.
Yeah.
I've always, regardless of whether I wasn't doing anything, it didn't matter. But I've always had like nerves. I've always assumed I was going to get pulled over, no matter what I was doing.
Yeah,
I don't,
You grew up Catholic too.
Exactly. We have that Catholic guilt thing, and I always assume I'm doing something wrong.
That's right.
And speaking of Catholics, this is kind of somewhat related to this next story. A proposal to build condominiums on a downtown city-owned lot has received the support of the Muskegon City staff. The proposal from a local developer was submitted in response to a request for development proposals for the lot at the corner of Western and Jefferson Street. Now, 14 two-story condos are going to be built, priced at around $225,000 per unit. Total cost of the development will be a little over $2.5 million. Now, the winning proposal was from this guy, Michael Korndecki. He's a developer, longtime resident, Muskegon Catholic Central graduate,
Whoa.
which, since he's Catholic, I think, no question, this was a good idea to give it to him because he's going to be on the up and up. And anytime proposals are done by guys who are from the city and have a vested interest in the city and in the surrounding areas, I always think that's a good thing.
It's not a bad thing, but we don't need more housing.
You don't think you need more housing?
No, we don't need more
Housing's
housing.
good.
No, we don't need more housing. And I'm not, you know what, I'm not telling the guy how to spend his money. I'm all for the development, whatever you want to try and do, great. Mm-hmm. We don't need more housing here. We're not in a housing crunch. We don't need more housing.
You don't need better. I mean, condos. I'm pro. I thought you would be pro condo.
I am pro condo.
Condos are lovely.
I'm in a condo right
fantastic.
now. Now
Yes,
that you
I
mention
know.
it. But
wouldn't you want other people to be able to live the Andy O'Reilly lifestyle?
Oh, yeah.
Don't you think that's a positive thing?
do you know what we call my condo?
What?
The upright single wide. There's 20 of them. There's 10 on this side and 10 on that side. The upright single wides.
And now you're going to have 14 more that are going to be, the resident owned.
I wish them the best on their development, and anything I can do to help, I am there.
Okay,
We
but you just think
we just don't need
okay.
more housing right now.
All right.
So
You don't. Okay. Fine. In sports, Cubs blanked the Pirates 1-0. Detroit all over Seattle 19-9. Of course, the NFL draft is tomorrow. And big news out of NASCAR: Dale Earnhardt Jr. announces he's retiring at the end of 2017. I know you're a big NASCAR guy. You are huge. You've been huge into it for years.
I've slipped.
How is this? I mean, you haven't been paying as much attention?
no, not really.
Really?
No, I don't care for the different rule changes and the different point things that they keep trying and all this. But I'll still tune in and catch a few minutes of it. Dale Earnhardt Jr. leaving is to me,
That's a huge deal.
It is a huge deal, and it's a sign that, I mean, if you take a look at the exodus, you got Jeff Gordon a couple of years ago, you got Carl Edwards this year, you got Dale Jr. leaving after the end of this year. These are some marquee names that are backing away from a sport that, at one point, you couldn't get a ticket to a NASCAR race. You couldn't get one. I mean, it was nuts. I'll give you a good case in point. Bristol, down in Tennessee.
Yeah.
It used to be, to get a Bristol ticket, you had to buy tickets to every event they put on all year long. All of them. Mm-hmm. So you're looking at a couple $1,000 at least for tickets if you wanted to go to one race, sell off the other ones or whatever you want to do. But you look now, whole grandstands are empty. It's insane to look at. It's just hard to believe that it slipped that much since the middle of the 90s.
You think a lot of these guys are just, they see the writing on the wall as far as, especially if you're somebody like Dale Earnhardt Jr., you've made your money, you're starting it, you want to start a family, you've cheated death for how many years now? And I've always said that about NASCAR. That is the sport, the one sport where you cheat death every single time you go out. And I can't blame the guy for what I've had enough.
I can't either. And he can always do a commentator role, or he can always do more commercials for whatever. And good for him. I mean, and it's nothing I don't. And I can tell you this honestly. When we left radio, or I left radio because you got fired before I left. Wait
a minute, we both got fired at the same time.
No, well, that was the Grand Rapids.
Oh, the
station.
second time.
That doesn't count.
Okay.
And you remember I told you that day? That day we got fired in Grand Rapids? I told you.
You said, did you say it was coming?
I told you that morning. I said, you watch and see. He's either going to give us double secret probation or let us go today. You mark my words. And I told you that when you walked in the studio. Way to play your cards close to your shirt, boss. Have that written all over your face. The guy can see it first thing when you walk in the morning. Anyway, what were we talking about? NASCAR here?
Yeah. Retiring and getting fired.
Yeah, well, I lost my train of thought.
Okay. So want to just end it then?
Fun to kick that guy in the ass in Grand Rapids, though, wasn't it?
Oh,
No.
gee, I didn't have a problem.
I'll tell you what. When I worked in NASCAR, it was a completely different world than I ever imagined. I did it for a year. Wouldn't trade it for anything. That's a tough gig to do.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, you get to the track before the sun comes up. You're the last one out the door at the end of the night. You've spent all day talking to fans, sponsors, drivers, owners. Well, one day in Darlington, I'm talking to Nikki Haley 1 minute, Richard Petty the next, then some guy with no tooth. No, the one he had was black and fizzing. Then I'm talking to who's that big, tall country music guy?
Oh, they're all Tim McGraw.
No, not him. But he does the Wounded Warrior
Garth
commercial.
Brooks?
No. He does the Wounded Warrior commercial.
Oh.
Do you know who I'm talking about?
I kind of can't write his name.
Big
Escapes me.
boys guy. It's a stressful day. It's really a hard job. I don't look back at it with any loss, but tough job, man.
Mm-hmm. Well,
so
I live and learn.
If you're a multimillionaire like Dale Jr., you could just say, "Well, the hell with this."
That's it.
I don't want to do that.
I can do more Nickelback videos.
Hey, today on the Muskegon Channel, we are talking about the Go Topless event with the Outback Wheelers. That's going to be a fun.
What?
Yeah, we're doing a topless Jeep show out here on May 20th. Okay. On Positively Muskegon, you can learn a little bit more about the First Fridays downtown. They're doing kids safety coming up on May. What's the first Friday in May there? May 5th. Make sure you check that out. And Dave Cackley, as always, you are a beautiful human being. Don't change a thing.